It's Wednesday, and you all know what that means. It's time for another episode of the Life in the Movies podcast. I'm one of your co-hosts. My name is Ryan Cam. Thank you all so much for tuning in. We hope you all had a great Thanksgiving, and with that in mind, it's time for the December preview. I cannot believe this is real, but Jacob and I are going to be talking about all the movies coming this December, and we'll also be talking about season 2, episode 7 of Daredevil. It's 8, yes. It was a gamble in my head of 7 or 8, but we'll be talking about season 2, episode 8 of Daredevil, and oh boy, it's not a boring episode, that's for certain. A lot of stuff goes down. But first, I have to introduce my co-host, Jacob Martin. Jacob, how you doing?
First off, I'm doing great. Thank you, as always, for having me on for this awesome podcast every week. I'm excited to be talking about Daredevil and the December preview. It's crazy that I keep saying this every preview. It's crazy that it's like a month, each month goes by and it feels like, really, it's been almost a year since we started? That's hard to believe.
Yeah, you know the old saying, time flies when you're having fun.
Yep.
Yeah, but we'll get to the preview in just a bit. But first, I thought it would be fun, as usual, to talk about some things we've been watching lately. So, Jacob, why don't you go first?
Well, first off, me and Ryan actually watched something this past weekend for my weekend watch party. We watched Home Alone this past Saturday night, along with my sister Jamie and my friend Jacob Collins from his channel 3D Movie Cinema. That was an awesome experience. I enjoyed hanging out with my friends and just laughing along at Kevin McAllister booby trapping the crap out of the wet bandits.
Yeah, that's always a pleasant experience. And I did want to say thank you for including me in that. That was so much fun. And I am looking forward to doing another watch along with you down the road. And it was also fun because we also did our latest episode discussing DreamWorks on Joseph King of Dreams, which is a movie that I have gained a new appreciation for. I think that movie is so very well done.
Yeah, thank you, Ryan, for bringing that up. We did that too last week. We recorded that the day before Thanksgiving, and that is a very underseen movie. It tends to be overlooked because it's a direct-to-video film and it's nowhere near as good of quality as The Prince of Egypt. But if you look at it on its own, it's a pretty solid movie that told the story of Joseph well as good of a way as you can.
Yeah, absolutely. And you got to understand that when something went direct to DVD back then, it's not like going direct to streaming where people are paying for it and it's already on there. So the work's pretty much done. It's literally they had to go to a store, buy it, go back, and then put it on. So there was more of a risk of something of it being bad. And direct to DVD gained a bit of a bad reputation over the years. But this is maybe one of the best direct-to-DVD movies ever made.
Yeah, it's definitely a good one. It's definitely one of the better ones, and I'd say I enjoyed this over half of the direct-to-video Disney sequels that came out around this time.
Yeah, those were definitely a mixed bag, I feel. I haven't seen all of them, but the ones I have seen, at best have been pretty good, and at worst have been like, why was this even made? Just for the bottom line, I guess.
Yep. Then actually, Thanksgiving night, after we had our big Thanksgiving meal and stuff, my sister and I, along with my dad, actually went to one of the 600 theaters that was showing Glass Onion, the new Knives Out follow up from Ryan Johnson. I'm a big fan of Knives Out. That was one of my favorite movies that came out in the last few years. I was so hyped to see Glass Onion, especially since it was being released at a theater near me. And I was not disappointed. I thought this was a great follow up. I thought Knives Out, I think, is the better film overall. I think one, because I've seen it more, and I feel like I need to revisit Glass Onion a couple more times to get to truly decide what's the better film. But it's still a great film. I enjoyed the cast. Obviously, Daniel Craig is as awesome as ever as Benoit Blanc, him and that awesome Southern drawl that he puts on. Janelle Monáe is really good in this movie. I can't really say more. I don't want to spoil the plot, but she's awesome in the film. But I got a good kick, I gotta tell you, Dave Bautista. His character, as unlikable as he is in the movie, he puts on a great comedic performance that was so fun to watch. It really was. I enjoyed Ryan Johnson's direction. The murder mystery was very engaging. There was some really good details in the plot that I'm sure I'll pick up on second viewings. And even the title itself, The Glass Onion, I'm not going to spoil it. I thought was pretty interesting as well. I was unsure if I would enjoy the movie at first because the opening, like, couple minutes was a little bit cringy when they set up the characters and they established the plot, which is set during COVID. I'm like, what did I get myself into? But as soon as the mystery starts, the movie is awesome, and it's one of my favorite movies of the year so far.
Yeah, I have an entire review of this movie on the channel now if you all feel so inclined, but I didn't like it as much as you, but I did enjoy it. I think both the Knives Out movies are pretty mid, to be honest. I know that's a pretty hot take, but that is my take and I'm sticking to it. I just think Ryan Johnson just gets too cute with these movies. He's so focused on being whimsical and giving all these characters these like unlikable personalities when in reality I just needed him to make a solid mystery. That's all I needed him to do. And this one he did so, but it was just these things that I was just sitting there like, why is this necessary? For example, there's several celebrity cameos in this. One of them sells hot sauce in the movie. It's an MCU actor. If you know, you know. And then there's another actor who makes kombucha. Spoiler alert, he has played the Joker. If you know, you know. And then I don't know if I should say who the person is, but let's just say the dude from the Before movies makes one appearance and then is never seen again. And just totaling it in my head, I was just sitting there like, why? Why include any of this here? And if you all liked it, Jacob, I'm sure you liked it, then that's fine.
Yeah.
I'm not saying that you're wrong for liking it, but I was just sitting there thinking to myself, again, why is this necessary?
Yeah, I think I get that. I just thought it was, yeah. So those jokes in the film, honestly, I thought was pretty hilarious. I think it was kind of making fun of like the celebrity culture and the celebrity brand. I think that was part of I think the overall joke of the story. I thought, without diving too far into spoilers, but I think I get what you're coming from.
Yeah, and I'm trying my hardest not to sound like a jerk or anything. I still think the movie was pretty well made, but it's just these little things that just took away from my enjoyment as a whole. But it did very well in its limited release. I know I was very lucky to see it at my luxury theater in Daytona, which is about 20 minutes from where I live. So it was a very limited release, but I was watching John Campia's show earlier today, and he was talking about how this movie in its limited release did just as better, if not more so, than Strange World, which was released in far many theaters. And I have not seen Strange World, Jacob. I don't know if you've seen Strange World yet or not,
I
but
haven't seen it yet.
the reviews have not been kind. That's all I will say.
Yep, and then you get the various opinions. I'm like, oh, the movie was too woke, and if you're too woke, you're broke. And then others blame the marketing and stuff. I'm like, can I see the movie first before I say whether the movie's bad or not?
Yeah, absolutely. When I hear the get woke, go broke stuff, I just roll my eyes because it's not 2017. It's not 2018. It's like it's Strange World was poorly marketed. I honestly forgot that it was coming out. And it's the old adage of if a tree falls in the forest and no one's around to hear it, does it truly make a sound? Strange World was pretty much pushed into theaters. We talked about it a couple episodes ago. Bob Chapek just got forced out. And it's just a case of like that old adage Strange World is the tree. It fell. No one was around to hear it. So it didn't make a sound. So I have a feel it's going to be interesting because some of my favorite Disney movies like Treasure Planet didn't do well at the box office. And ironically enough, Treasure Planet debuted Thanksgiving weekend of 2002, which Rachel reminded me of was the same weekend as a little movie called Harry Potter and the Chamber of Secrets. Which movie won out, I wonder? So I don't want to say Disney sent the movie to die, but it's certainly looking like that.
Yeah, it is unfortunate because it looked like an interesting, fun movie, but between the reviews and the movie not doing well, we'll have to see on that one when we eventually get to watch it.
Yeah, no doubt. But what else you got?
I've been starting to go through the movies I'll be watching for my 31 Days of Christmas series. Actually, the other night I rewatched Gremlins. I'll have a big live stream collab on that one with my good friend Rashad, who's also a big fan of the movie. Some people think it'll be weird saying Gremlins is a Christmas movie, putting it in the tier of movies like Die Hard and Lethal Weapon, which, yeah, Christmas is in the background, but it's not really the focus. But I still like the good ambiance of seeing a Christmas setting in a lot of these movies. So Die Hard, I feel like, is a fun Christmas movie, fun variation on it, and I feel the same way with Gremlins. If you haven't seen the film, it's a fun little Christmas horror comedy directed by Joe Dante. I love the practical effects used to bring these creatures to life, especially when the Gremlins are fed after midnight and they become the bloodthirsty monsters. The puppetry in those sequences are absolutely awesome. There are some fun little kills in the film. Yeah, it's not really truly scary per se. A lot of the horror elements are more played for laughs with some of the kills. I think being set in the 80s too, I think it makes it a lot more fun to watch. I think it straddles the line, but well, with having sequences that I think can get you on the edge of your seat, but you can also laugh along with it at the same time. The characters are pretty solid. It's a movie I've seen for a good number of years now, and it's one I like revisiting every couple of years. It's pretty good if you haven't seen it.
I actually have not seen it, and now that I have a series called Chris Mania, where I review 25 Christmas movies every December, it's gonna be pretty much an inevitability that I'm gonna have to watch it. I think I actually have the DVD back in that shelf somewhere, so it's just a matter of me sitting down and watching it at this point, because I've heard nothing but amazing things about it over the years.
Yeah, it's a really good movie if you haven't seen it. What have you been watching lately, Ryan?
So I did see Glass Onion, which we just talked about, and I was kind of on, but I still thought it was very well made. Let me just get my letterboxed up here. I don't know if I touched on it last episode or if we even did if we did this segment, but I saw The Menu, which was in theaters and still is. And I think The Menu is probably going to top my favorite movies of the year list. It's definitely in the top three. I adore this movie, and the more I think about it, the better it has gotten. It's directed by Mark Mylod. It stars Ralph Fiennes, Anya Taylor-Joy, and Nicholas Hoult, as well as John Leguizamo. It's about this couple played by Taylor-Joy and Holt, and they are going to this very fancy restaurant on a private island run by this very pretentious chef. And it's basically a roasting of foodie culture and this very pretentious, like, fine dining. It's food that's not really food. It's just meant for the art, when in reality, you just give me some steak and mashed potatoes and I'm a happy camper. But I won't go too deep into spoilers, but one of the courses is the bread course with no bread, and I will go no further. I just want to just put that idea in your head, but it's really just roasting that elite food criticism kind of thing. There's even the joke of posting a food pic on their Instagram for the gram, so that's done well. But it's very much a commentary heavy movie, and I've stated in the past how I'm not a big fan of those, but here it really works. Ralph Fiennes, of course, is excellent. Anya Taylor-Joy is really good. Nicholas Hoult is awesome. John Leguizamo is predictably good. I won't spoil it any more than I have with the whole bread course thing. If you have not seen it, I cannot recommend it enough.
Yeah, I still haven't seen the menu. I'm glad you didn't go into spoilers on that one because it looked like an interesting movie, and it's definitely another one I'll have to add on my list.
Yeah, and then I ended up watching the other day Meet Me in St. Louis for the first time, starring Judy Garland. And this has been a movie that I have heard nothing but great things about. It's a great Christmas movie and all that. And I don't know if I would consider it great, but I still admire a lot about it. It looks stellar for, I want to say, the late 40s. It is 1944, so mid 40s, but it looks outstanding. It's in full color. The Smith's house just looks phenomenal. It takes place in 1903, so it's that architecture that I'm really liking. Judy Garland is of course great, and she has the two most famous songs, the trolley song and Have Yourself a Merry Little Christmas, which are both great. There are several characters which I was sitting there thinking to myself, I'm not gonna like you, am I? But then the movie goes on and you're like, okay, I like you quite a bit. And this, like I said, I think it was a bit overhyped for me, but I do get where the love comes from. I think it's very well made, and it's weird calling it a Christmas movie because it is like the Christmas is kind of a short segment of the movie. There's even a Halloween segment in the movie, and I won't go into spoilers in case you all haven't seen it, but there's a Halloween section. But it's for it being the inception of Have Yourself a Merry Little Christmas. I mean, I guess that definitely places itself in the Christmas canon. So I'll have more details on day 3 of Christmania, but I actually quite enjoyed Meet Me in St. Louis.
Yeah, I only saw this movie once. It's been several years ago. I watched it on TCM one time. And I think I'm like you, Ryan. I wasn't really blown away by the movie. It's not horrible by any means. It's very well made, and Judy Garland's terrific in it, but it definitely doesn't fit my list of like the best Christmas movies there is. But hey, you got Judy Garland singing in there. It's not the worst thing you can watch.
Yeah, 100%. But what have you all been watching lately? Leave your thoughts in the comments. We'd love to read what you have to say. All right, Jacob, let's get into Daredevil season 2, episode 8. And oh boy, this is definitely a shot in the arm, hasn't it?
Oh, yeah. I was very much invested in the entire episode. And by the end, I was so shocked at what happened. I'm like, can we just watch the next episode? Because I want to see what happens next.
So this episode is called Guilty as Sin. As the firm's trial spins out of control, a figure from Murdoch's past returns to deliver shocking revelations about the future of Hell's Kitchen. Now that's the IMDb synopsis. But man, everybody comes back in this. Stick is back. Electra gets hurt, but she's been there. Uh, but the biggest kicker of all, Wilson Fisk is back, and his return is saved for the very end. But when you see that bald head, it can't be anyone else but him. And as he turns around and he looks at Frank and is like, I see you got my message. I'm like, that's the dude. That's him. I was so excited to see him back.
Yeah, exactly. Because even though I've enjoyed the season so far, like I said last week, overall I prefer the first season because of Wilson Fisk. So it was good to see him back in some capacity, seeing how he's going to manipulate the story, it looks like, going forward. I'm very much excited to see where it's going to lead. And is Fisk and Punisher going to have an alliance now? I don't know, but I'm excited to watch the next one.
Yeah, and I guess it is nice to see that Stick is still a grumpy old bastard.
Yeah, like to be honest, I totally forgot about Stick. I remember him in the first season, and he had one of the best episodes. But for some reason, watching this season, I'm like, I think his story's done. Matt Murdock you uh, kind of shoved him out. Like, I don't need you anymore. But then, not only the fact that he comes back, but also revealing information that'll lead to greater implications. I think in the entire saga with like the whole hand or whatever that was. and the fact that Stick was the one training Elektra the whole time, and most of her most of her actions and her morals were from Stick, which is a character that he and Matt constantly fight over. Watching this episode, I know last week I brought up I wasn't that invested in the Elektra stuff. Now with this information, I'm actually into the Elektra stuff now. I actually thought Elektra was a more interesting character now that we've learned more about her and seeing how it all plays within Matt Murdock's psyche. And that's got me excited for the series going forward as I don't know where they're going to take these characters, and I'm really invested in them again. It's crazy. This episode, the last couple episodes were I felt like were good but not great. This one was kind of like that adrenaline pumping in your arm to hyping the show back up again, and now I'm excited to see where it goes again.
Yeah, and something that I think will definitely be lost in the shuffle is Foggy being Foggy and being awesome at what he does. That whole trial stuff, I think, was just as good as the reveals that we got, because he's
Yeah,
basically carrying this trial on his back while Matt is being pulled in every direction possible.
yeah, and I was also shocked. The Stick opens the door and Karen goes in. He sees Matt and Electra, but doesn't really know what's going on and gets like that. Oh, what is this? Look at. Yeah, I'm usually not a fan of like misunderstanding breakup stuff, but considering she doesn't fully know Matt and his alter ego and stuff, I feel like the drama in this was actually earned to where she doesn't trust Matt anymore, and thought his speech was very hypocritical even when he was doing that at the trial. I'm like, yeah, this is one of the few times where they took a trope that I normally can't stand. It actually made it very grounded and believable. So props to Daredevil for doing that.
What do you think of seeing Clancy Brown,
Nancy Brown.
the Marine, the at the trial?
Oh, oh, the Marine. Yeah, that scene was actually pretty cool. I was so invested in that whole thing. His testimony on uh, learning about what the Punisher Frank was doing during his time in the Marines. I thought that was a very interesting tidbit that gave some more context on his character, which I really liked.
Yeah, Clancy Brown has to be one of my favorite character actors. That dude is so flexible, going from the warden in Shawshank Redemption, or the captain of the guards in Shawshank Redemption. The warden was Leland Owlsley, who was also in Daredevil.
In season one.
Yeah, exactly. So he was that, and then he's also Mr. Krabs in SpongeBob. So going from this hard-boiled captain of a prison to a crab who loves nothing but money. You know, the money is
Uh,
always right.
I had never put two and two together, so this is new news to me.
Really, I thought you knew that.
No,
So yeah, yeah, he was Mr. Krabs from the very beginning throughout the show's whole run. So that's Clancy Brown for you.
wow.
Yeah, but what did you all think of this episode if you have seen it? Leave your thoughts in the comments. We'd love to read what you have to say. All right, Jacob, let's get into the main event for the evening, the December preview. Like I said, I cannot believe that this is a real thing, but here we are. And going through all the trailers, or as many trailers as we could, there's some that we couldn't find. Was there any ones that, without giving away star ratings, that you were like, yeah, that looks good?
There's at least two fives on my anticipation rating. I'm excited to see both of them. But there's a few others that are high up there that I'm really excited to check out, especially some of these theatrical releases.
Very good. Well, let us begin, starting with Violent Night. This is going to theaters. When a group of mercenaries attack the estate of a wealthy family, Santa Claus must step in to save the day and Christmas. So this is actually coming to theaters this weekend, And I've seen this trailer many times, and I am actually pretty excited for this one. Jacob, what do you think?
Yep, this is one of my two fives off the bat. I am so looking forward to seeing an offbeat Christmas movie like this. It's got like the hostage premise of Die Hard mixed with the action stunt team of John Wick. And that's an awesome combination waiting to happen. And also, Ryan, I don't know if you've seen the movie Scrooged with Bill Murray, but there was a movie within a movie in that film called The Night the Reindeer Died, which also had like an action toting Santa Claus in it. So to me, Violent Night, just seeing the trailer feels like the feature length version of The Night the Reindeer Died, the movie that looks so awesome in the Scrooge film that's now a real reality. I'm so excited to see this one. It looks like a lot of fun. The early reviews for it have already been fantastic, and I'm excited to check it out. Plus, David Harbour as Santa Claus. That just sounds like awesome casting.
The Night the Reindeer Died. That sounds like something David Lynch would direct. So you're giving that one a 5. I'm giving it a 5 too. I love this trailer and I'm expecting to love this movie. Well, next up is Emancipation. This is going to Apple TV Plus. A runaway slave forges through the swamps of Louisiana on a torturous journey to escape plantation owners that nearly killed him. This is directed by Antoine Fuqua and starring Will Smith, and this is Will Smith's first movie post so it's going to be interesting to see how this movie is received. It's got Will Smith, it's got Ben Foster in it, two people that I have a lot of respect for in the acting world. What did you think of this one?
Yeah, the slap controversy aside, I have a lot of respect for Will Smith as an actor, and I really hope people take that stupidity aside and just watch him in this what looks to be a very powerful, gripping movie. Honestly, I hope this movie is his comeback because just watching the trailer, he looks like he is putting his heart out into this character in a very demanding role that you normally don't see Will Smith do in any of his past movies. I think if this had come out before the slap incident, it probably would have gotten some Oscar buzz. But we'll just have to see what the Academy thinks on that since they've banned him for 10 years. But I'm excited to see this. It looks really gripping. I'm normally a fan of Civil War period piece stories, and you got Will, and the story just sounds very fascinating. I'm excited to see how that's going to play out. And Antoine Fuqua is a very solid director, so this one's definitely one to look out for. And I'm going 4.5.
Yeah, I'll meet you there, 4.5. And like I said, I'm a big fan of Will Smith. I love his story. I watched The Fresh Prince of Bel-Air a ton growing up, those reruns on TBS. So as a fan of his, I sincerely hope that this is his big comeback, and I sincerely hope that Oscar voters keep his name in their freaking mouths when they cast their ballots. Well, next up is Marlowe. This is coming to theaters, as far as I know. In late 1930s Bay City, a brooding, down on his luck detective is hired to find the ex-lover of a glamorous heiress. Now, we did not get a trailer for this one yet, and knowing our luck, the trailer's probably going to drop Tuesday or Wednesday, an hour before this goes live. But just based off of that premise, and it's the fact that it stars Liam Neeson, Diane Kruger, Jessica Lange, and Adewale Akinyoe Agbaje, aka Mr. Echo from Lost, and it was directed by Neil Jordan. What do you think?
Well, we didn't get a trailer for one thing, and Liam Neeson's not really had the best year as far as action movies go. A lot of the movies that he's done this year have been very poorly received. I'm probably gonna go really low on it. Let's go 2 just because it just doesn't. It sounds like another one of them bargain bin Liam Neeson movies.
Yeah, I'm gonna say 2 on this as well. If we had actually gotten a trailer, it might have been higher or lower, but yeah, this didn't really speak to me all that much. Well, next up is spoiler alert. This is going to theaters. The story of Michael Ausilio, or Ocello. I believe I'm saying that right. I'm probably not. and Kit Cowan's relationship that takes a tragic turn when Cowan is diagnosed with terminal cancer. This was directed by Michael Showalter, who has directed a lot of things, but I know him from directing The Big Sick, which is a movie I absolutely love. And the movie stars Jim Parsons from The Big Bang Theory and Ben Aldridge. And I've seen this trailer now a few times, and it looks really, really solid. I feel like it's going to be a heart wrencher.
Yeah, the movie did look okay to me. I've seen The Big Sick. I thought that was a really good movie. It looks like it's really gonna take some swings as far as doing like the romance and the tragedy. And I'm used to seeing Jim Parsons in The Big Bang Theory, and it looks like he's going for a more dramatic turn this time. There's a couple moments in the trailer where he really lets out more of an emotional performance. I'm like, man, I didn't know Sheldon had that in him. Wow, that I think it's going to be worth watching to see that. But the humor, just in the trailer, because I think they're combining comedy and drama. The humor just looked kind of out of place, fell out of place just from watching the trailer. There was a couple meta references in the trailer that kind of took me out of it, where he's like, "Oh, I thought we were in a rom com. Now it's turning into a love tragedy or whatever." I'm like, and it looked like he was addressing the audience doing that. I'm like, I don't know if that's going to play out well, but it looks like it looks like it's in the right place as far as executing its narrative, and I think it's based on a true story. Didn't you say that? So
Yeah, it's
it
looking
looks like
like,
it's trying to do something with its story, and I appreciate that.
yeah. So what would you give it?
I'd go three.
Yeah, I'll meet you there. I think I'm going to take my mom to see this because she's a Big Bang Theory fan, as am I. And so the Jim Parsons love, if nothing else. Well, next up is Diary of a Wimpy Kid, Roderick Rules. This is going to Disney Plus. A new school year, his brother Roderick teases him over and over and over again. Will Greg manage to get along with him, or will his secret ruin everything? Now, full disclosure, I loved the Diary of a Wimpy Kid books growing up. I read most of them and I stopped reading them, but Jeff Kinney is still making them. Now that I'm working at a library, I see them. I'm like, wait, 15, how many of these are there? But this is the sequel, and it looks like they've turned away from doing the live action style for these movies and doing it more along the style of the books. And I think that could be potentially a good thing. I have not seen the first one on Disney Plus, but this they definitely got the animation right. What did you think?
Yeah, I have not seen the previous animated film either, but like you, Ryan, I grew up reading the books and loved them as a kid. I saw the live action film that came out in 2010 and just thought it was okay. I just thought it was weird that they made a live action film based on a series of books that would benefit greater with animation. And though I haven't seen the animated version, it looked like they at least got the visual style down just from the trailers. But when I was watching the trailer for this one, just the animation just looked cheaper this time compared to the trailers in the first movie. It looked like I don't know if it was a result of Bob Chapek being Bob Chapek and not caring about animation, or just this movie had a small budget in general. But this just looked like lazily put together, rush it to Disney Plus all over it. And it just didn't look like it had the same amount of creativity that what looked like the first movie had. But I'll give it the benefit of a doubt because I like the books. Maybe it's a movie that'll be fun to watch even with its animation visual shortcomings. But I'm not sure on this one, so I'm going 2.5.
Yeah, I'll meet you there, and I promise I'm not just echoing Jacob. I do actually agree with him on that. Well, next up is Darby and the Dead. This is going to Hulu, followed by Darby Harper, who is granted the ability to see ghosts after suffering a near-death experience in her childhood. Then she runs a side business consoling local spirits in her spare time. When I was watching this trailer, one thought kept popping into my head. Sixth Sense. This movie's basically the Sixth Sense.
Yeah.
But it's got Ali Cravalho. I probably butchered that, and I'm sorry, but she is the girl from Moana, and so I'm a fan of hers. And so, if for nothing else, I may check it out for that. But this just looked like just a high school version of Sixth Sense, which just doesn't really speak to me.
Yeah, I think I definitely agree with you on that. There's not much in the trailer that really wowed me by any means. Like the humor was definitely cringe fest with like the high school teenage aspect. Um, Ali, it looked like she was having fun playing her character. It looked like in the trailer, and it's gonna be interesting seeing her play a more bully character who's the one who dies and starts ghosting everybody. But yeah, this one just didn't look interesting in my opinion. I'd go two on it.
I was gonna go lower and go 1.5. I just one entire star for Miss Cravalho. The rest, yeah, not so much. Well, next up is Lady Chatterley's Lover. This is going to Netflix. An unhappily married aristocrat begins a torrid affair with the gamekeeper on her husband's country estate. And this is based on the book of the same name, I believe. What did you think of this one?
Yeah, I didn't care for this trailer at all. And normally these stories aren't up my alley anyway. So the fact that it's a whole movie about this affair, I'm like, no, not for me. It's going to be very low. Uh, I'm going 1.5 just because it's not really my type of narrative storytelling.
I do like Jack O'Connell, but yeah, I'm gonna go one on this one. It's a genre that doesn't really spark my interest to begin with, but then just the story of infidelity and just it doesn't really speak to me all that much. So I'm going one, and I feel like I'm being generous there. Well, next up is The Eternal Daughter. This looks like it's coming to theaters. In this ghost story from acclaimed filmmaker Joanna Hogg, a middle aged daughter and her elderly mother must confront long buried secrets when they return to their former family home, a once grand manor that has become a nearly vacant hotel brimming with mystery. This is coming from A24 and it stars Tilda Swinton. A24 and Tilda Swinton. That's two things that I really like.
Yeah, the thing that really intrigues me is that Tilda Swinton is not only playing the daughter, but she's playing the mother as well. And that actually intrigued me seeing Tilda Swinton playing two different characters in the same family. And I'm definitely intrigued just from that alone. Now, A24 is not really the studio I tend to gravitate towards. I like a lot of their movies, but not a lot of their movies really resonate with me unless it's Everything Everywhere All at Once. I love that movie. But this one looked okay. The ghost story element looked intriguing, and you got Tilda Swinton in a dual role, so that's like a double threat right there. So I'm gonna go 3.5 on this one.
I love Tilda Swinton so much, I'm going to go four. I'll go a little higher than you. Well, next up is Empire of Light. This is going to theaters. A drama about the power of human connection during turbulent times set in an English coastal town in the early 1980s. This was going to festivals, and the reviews that I personally have seen have been not as solid as I was thinking. My friend Rachel did not care for this one. She thought it was just okay, but it's directed by Sam Mendes. I mean, 1917, Skyfall. This dude knows what he's doing, so I'm very worried about this.
Yeah, it sounds like if the reviews are that bad, it could be the equivalent of what recently happened with David O. Russell in Amsterdam. Like his previous movies were well liked, but then Amsterdam was poorly received and nobody liked that one. So hopefully it's not near as bad as that movie. I do like some of Sam Mendes' previous films, especially Skyfall and 1917. And earlier this year, for the first time, I checked out Road to Perdition, which he directed, starring Tom Hanks, which is a fantastic movie if you haven't seen it. The trailer didn't really do much. I didn't really feel a plot or anything watching the trailer, but it's got a good cast and I like the director and I'm intrigued just on the director name alone, but it doesn't look like it's going to be his best film just from watching the trailers. Optimistically, though, I'm just going to go three just on the director name.
I'm gonna go 2.5. I think the trailer is way too vague, and it's like it's taking place in a movie theater, and it's like it looks like it's maybe taking place during the Troubles, but it's not set in Ireland. So I don't know what the vibe is going for of this, but I do like Colin Firth, who is in this. I do like Sam Mendes. I like Toby Jones. So there are pieces in here that I do like. So 2.5, and I'm being generous just for those elements I just mentioned. Well, next up is Matilda the musical. This is going to Netflix and is going to select theaters also. An adaptation of the Tony and Olivier award-winning musical. Matilda tells the story of an extraordinary girl who, armed with a sharp mind and a vivid imagination, dares to take a stand to change her story with miraculous results. Now, I'm not a big I'm not a humongous fan of the Matilda movie we got in the 90s, directed by Danny DeVito. I thought it was a bit mean-spirited, especially the chocolate cake and the Bruce Bogtrotter stuff. I was just in like, geez, this is just kind of cruel that. But apparently there are people who like it enough to make a musical out of it, I guess. But I don't know. What did you think of this one?
Yeah, I don't have a nostalgia connection for Matilda. I saw it once and I liked it fine. Like I actually thought the darker comedy in the film was actually pretty funny throughout. And I actually applaud the movie for taking some risks with it. I actually enjoyed the storytelling, and Matilda was a fun character, and Miss Trunchbull was an absolute scene stealer, the evil principal or whatever she was. For me, when I was watching a trailer, I'm like, do we really need a musical out of Matilda? I don't know how that's going to work, played with the darker elements of the story, but it's going to be interesting to watch, and I'm kind of intrigued to watch it to see if it works as a musical. And also, I like the casting of Emma Thompson as Miss Trunchbull in this version. So it looks like she's going to have a fun time chewing the scenery as much as the original actress. But because I'm not like the biggest Matilda fan, I'm not too hyped on this film, but I'll give it an open mind considering I like the previous version. So I'm going to go 3.5.
I'm gonna go 2.5. Like I said, not a big fan of the Danny DeVito one, and it may be good, but I don't know. It didn't really speak to me that much. Well, next up is Night of the Museum, Common Raw Rises Again. This is going to Disney Plus, and there was no trailer for this, so I'll just read the synopsis. Nick Daly hesitates becoming a museum night watchman, and Common Raw returns to conquer the world. I'm a fan of the Night of the Museum movies. They're not like astounding pieces of cinema, but for what they are, I think they're a lot of fun. It introduced me to Rami Malek, who's in all three of them, and Ben Stiller is good in them, but there's no Ben Stiller in this one. That concerns me quite a bit. Fair to say.
Yeah, I think this one's fully animated if I'm not mistaken, right?
I honestly do not know. There are only images from what I've seen, and they do look animated, so I am not sure.
Yeah. Yeah, that's all I know about the movie is that I think this is fully animated, but it's a continuation of the previous films. I enjoy the other night at the museum movies. The first one I have a soft spot for, but Night at the Museum 2 is pretty fun as well, especially Hank Azaria as the villain. I thought he was so over the top with his whole "I have come back to life."
I love the
Love that.
scene. I love the scene in, I believe it's the third one, where Common Ra is being asked about his dress when it is a tunic, and it and Hank Azaria does a great job of that. And finally, he gets to Napoleon, and Napoleon raises his hand and is like, "As long as the question is not about the dress, tunic," and then Napoleon lowers his hand. Great stuff.
Actually, that's in the second movie.
Oh yeah, you're right.
I thought it was
That's my bad.
Smithsonian. But yeah, going back to this movie, if we had gotten the trailer, I would have had more thoughts on it. But no Ben Stiller's. I mean, he's like the face of those movies. So I don't know. Uh, 2.5. That's all.
Yeah,
That's what I'm going with.
I'm going to, and I feel like I'm being generous on that. Well, next up is The Whale. This is going to theaters. A reclusive English teacher attempts to reconnect with his estranged teenage daughter. Now, I could not go for a minute without seeing some discourse of this online. It's gotten a lot of love coming out of festivals, especially for Brendan Fraser, who is looking like if he is not nominated for Best Actor, there will be a riot. I'm fairly certain of that. But it's directed by Darren Aronofsky. It's going to be a tough movie to sit through, that is for sure. And it's looking like it's going to be the comeback of Brendan Fraser. What did you think?
Yeah, Darren Aronofsky's a hit and miss director for me. I think I respect his movies more so than I like them, but he does have an interesting craft, and I still am very interested in checking this out, especially for Brendan Fraser because it's been so long since he's done a movie, and I'm really excited for him. I hope this is like the big comeback role where he gets some Oscar buzz. And it looks like he's already winning me over just from that 1 minute trailer that A24 dropped. So just because of that, I'm going to go four, mainly for Brendan Fraser.
I'm going to go five. I think from what we just saw in the trailer, it looks fantastic. And just based on what we've seen coming out of festivals, that video that went viral of Brandon Fraser getting like a 10 or 15-minute standing ovation and him just looking so happy that it's all happening, it's one of those moments that makes your heart grow three sizes like in The Grinch. But I'm looking forward to it, and hopefully it gets some awards attention. And I don't really care for the awards, like any of them, but I hope that it does at least get noticed. Well, next up is Something from Tiffany's. This is coming to Amazon Prime. Follows a woman as her life gets upended when an engagement ring that was for someone else leads her to the person she's meant to be with. This stars Zoe Dutch, who has been in a few movies recently. What did you think of this?
It looked okay. I guess it's nice that we're getting at least some output of Christmas movies this year, even if this one's just going to streaming. It looks like it's charming enough. The premise isn't really wowing me. It's something I feel like we've seen before with different mix-ups and the guy struggling to propose and stuff. But it looks like it could be decent fun at least. I'm mainly gonna go three because it's a Christmas movie and I'm being generous.
Yeah, I'll meet you there. It didn't like turn me completely off. It looks like it could be a fun premise, so I'll meet you there with three. Next up is Detective Knight's Redemption. In custody in New York, Detective James Knight finds himself in the middle of a jailbreak led by the Christmas Bomber, a brutal fanatic whose Santa Claus disciples are terrorizing the city. With the promised return of his badge in exchange for taking out the terrorists, the steely-eyed knight doles out mercy for the just and merciless justice for all the rest. Oh boy, what do you think of that one?
I could not keep a straight face reading that plot. So I was thinking like Santa Claus bombers.
Ho ho ho.
Yeah, this one did not look good. It looked like another one of those bargain bin straight to video action movies. They're really trying to like profit off of Bruce Willis retiring and all the many final roles he did. I just feel so bad for Bruce Willis because especially since he can't really do any of his big roles anymore because of his health condition, so he's just doing the smaller stuff. Oh man, I feel so bad for him. This movie doesn't look like it's doing him any favors.
Yeah,
1.5 for
it
me.
breaks it breaks my heart, but I'm gonna have to go one. It just man, poor Bruce. Poor
Yeah.
Bruce. Well, next up onto something that'll be considerably better, Avatar: The Way of Water. And this is probably going to be one of the more intriguing movies for the rest of the year. And depending on how it is received, I'm not looking forward to the discourse online. But I read somewhere that it's looking like it's going to have to break like 500 million or something to just break even. So it's got a Herculean task ahead of it. But if anyone can do it, it's James Cameron. What did you think of the trailer?
Well, first off, I think the film's gonna break even for one thing because it's Avatar, No matter what the discourse is, especially on Twitter, from some are like, people aren't going to care to see this. No, I think the general public really loved the first Avatar, and I have heard a lot of people, even people who aren't as big film buffs as we are, like even people in my own family, are really hyped to see Avatar 2. So I think this movie is going to make big bucks. Even though I've said time and time again, I've not been the biggest fan of Avatar. I like the visuals more so than the story, which is on the generic side. I'm still excited to see this. One, because it's the first time in like 14 years that James Cameron's made a movie. He's one of the best directors there is. The visuals look absolutely amazing and even more amazing, which is really saying something. It's great seeing the technology grow. And I'm hoping, considering the major gap between movies, that we get a great story this time. That's all I'm hoping for. I'm hoping it's a compelling story that complements the visuals. That's all I'm asking for. And I'm hoping, because James Cameron has an excellent track record with sequels, particularly Aliens and Terminator 2, that this will also rank among the best sequels in recent years. So even though I'm not the biggest fan of the first, call me crazy, but I'm going 4.5 on Avatar 2.
I'm crazier than you. I'm going 5. If for nothing else, because of that teaser trailer, which is still my favorite of the year. The song just combined with how little it shows, and this trailer doesn't show all that much either. It's a very solid trailer. I'm thankful that they don't show anything too big. But I'm so impressed with both of these trailers, and after having seen the re-release of the first one in 4K and just having it relatively fresh in my head, I'm definitely hoping that this movie is good, because they have had James Cameron and this team have had over a decade to make this, or actually 13 years. 13 plus 9 is 22. So yeah, 13 years to make this live up to the first Avatar. So if they haven't done it in that amount of time, then it'll be a very big disappointment. But it's looking like that will not be the case. Well, next up is Puss in Boots: The Last Wish, and this has actually been getting some very good reviews as of late, and we are both heavily invested in this one. It's DreamWorks' latest film. Puss in Boots discovers that his passion for adventure has taken its toll. He has burned through 8 of his 9 lives. Puss sets out on an epic journey to find the mythical last wish and restore his 9 lives. This is a spin-off of Puss in Boots. We actually got a Puss in Boots movie in 2011, which I actually really remember enjoying. But the movie has Antonio Banderas, Salma Hayek, Florence Pugh, and a bunch of others. This honestly looks quite solid, Jacob.
Yeah, considering the Puss in Boots movie has always been like an average okay movie to me. It's one that, yeah, it's fine, but it's not amazing or anything. This movie, on the other hand, this one looks pretty awesome. But between the animation style, uh, the fact that it's telling a story about Puss in Boots and examining his own life and mortality, and the action looks absolutely incredible. And it even has a typical DreamWorks humor that makes Puss in Boots and Shrek just fun characters. This has potential to be one of DreamWorks' best movies. And DreamWorks has already made a comeback this year with The Bad Guys, which is still my favorite animated film that's come out this year. So between that and the great buzz that's already been received by those who got to see it early, I am really excited to see this, considering the first one was just okay to me. I'm going 4.5, another 4.5.
Yeah, I'll meet you there on that. 4.5. I love the look of this trailer. It just looks fantastic. Well, next up is I Want to Dance with Somebody. This is coming to theaters. The joyous, emotional, heartbreaking celebration of the life and music of Whitney Houston, one of the greatest female R&B pop vocalists of all time, tracking her journey from obscurity to musical superstardom. And I actually took my mom to see a documentary on Whitney Houston just called Whitney. I wasn't too familiar with her story. I just knew her from the titular song and a couple of other things. She has a very heartbreaking story, so I am not sure how much of Whitney's life they're going to cover in this movie, but they've cast someone as Bobby Brown, and oh boy, I am not looking forward to seeing those on screen, but nevertheless, I think the trailer does look good because I remember seeing the poster for the longest time and thinking to myself, are we going to get a trailer for that? And sure enough, we did. So, Jacob, what did you think?
Yeah, see, this one is hard because Whitney Houston was a fantastic artist with so many incredible songs and has one of the best female voices in any genre in music history. But this just looks like the same old same as far as your music biopics with like the rising star and the struggles and the overcoming the odds and stuff. Nothing in this trailer excited me none. They it looks like they cast the right actress to play Whitney. I mean, she looks like Whitney Houston in the trailer, so at least they got that down. But there was nothing in this trailer that blew me away, sadly, which is saying something. I wish we got either the music biopic genre had more variety to it. Like they tried making them stand out more. Like I loved Rocket Man because even though it's an Elton John biopic, it played out like a musical fantasy, which reflected Elton John's life and songs. And that's like in my top three music biopics because of that. This just looked very dull, very stale, very generic. I think it might be enough for Whitney fans, but as someone I think that wants a little bit more as far as I think storytelling goes, this just looked very forgettable, sadly. So I'm only going to go 2.5.
I'm going to go two and just, they did get the right actress for this because she looks exactly like Whitney from what I've seen from stock photos. And Stanley Tucci, I mean, he gets a star in and of itself because even if the movie is not great, Stanley Tucci is still going to rock.
Yeah.
And curious note, this is actually from the writer of Bohemian Rhapsody, so take from that whatever you want. But next up is Babylon. This is coming to theaters. A tale of outsized ambition and outrageous excess. It traces the rise and fall of multiple characters during an era of unbridled decadence and depravity in early Hollywood. I'm just going to go out and give this one a 5 because this is from my boy Damien Chazelle. He has not missed yet. Whiplash, La La Land, First Man, love them all wholeheartedly, and this looks no different. This trailer is so crazy. The the Paramount logo is made out of cocaine and it is snorted away. That's how I know this movie's going to be. In all seriousness, though, it's got Brad Pitt, Margot Robbie, Olivia Wilde, Samara Weaving, Tobey Maguire. Uh, like, I want to see this movie now.
Yeah, and at the time we're recording this, a new trailer just dropped, and I actually watched both trailers before we recorded this. I gotta say, the first trailer is probably the most hardest R trailer I've probably ever seen, with like the partying and the sex and some of the cursing they got away with in that trailer. I'm like, holy cow, how are they gonna get by showing this trailer on like the previews at the movies? But whatever. I like Damien Chazelle. He's probably one of the best directors there is working right now. La La Land is probably one of the best movies of the last decade, and Whiplash is crazy good. I'm sold on this movie just on the director, and I love the cast, especially. It's really awesome to see Tobey Maguire back in something. It looks like after No Way Home, he's on the comeback trail. And Margot Robbie has never disappointed as far as being in movies, so you can't go wrong with that. I'm not going as high as you on the rating because I'm usually stories involving like excess and overindulgent stuff just doesn't like relate to me. I wasn't that crazy on the Wolf of Wall Street for that reason alone. But I like the director and I love the cast, and I'm hoping this movie is at least entertaining to watch for those reasons alone. So I'm gonna go 4 on this one.
Right, very good. And just so everyone keeps that in mind, this movie is 3 hours and 9 minutes long. So
Ooh.
this is a true epic in every sense of the word.
And Avatar is like 3 hours and 12 minutes, I think I saw. So
Woo-wee! We need to bring back the movie intermission yesterday. Well, well, next up is Women Talking. This is coming to theaters. Do nothing, stay and fight, or leave. In 2010, the women of an isolated religious community grapple with reconciling a brutal reality with their faith. I do not know what to make of this. It's gotten great reviews coming out of festivals, but I don't know. This may seem like a festival darling that I just can't really get behind. I'm keeping an open mind. If it does come near me, I do want to see it, so I'm not writing it off. But I don't know. It just doesn't really speak to me. Fair to say.
yeah, I guess I get that because it's dealing with a cast of women dealing with their own struggles. I guess it's something we men can't relate with as much. But with that said, though, I actually looked up the story it was based on, and it's a pretty messed up story if you look at it. I'm not going to dive into it here, but the story looked interesting, and the cast that they got for this movie, I think, is the driving point on why this looks like it's going to be an interesting movie. You got like Florence Pugh is in it, and I think Frances McDormand, and even Ben Whishaw. I saw was cast in the film as one of the few guys that's in the film. I like the cinematography just from watching the trailer, and I'm intrigued by what this director is going to pull off of its cast and this story. So I'm going to go 4 just because I'm curious.
You know what? You sold me. I'll go for just for the cast alone. I mean, Frances McDormand has yet to miss in her entire career. So, if for nothing else, she is going to make this awesome. And Florence Pugh as well. Well, next up is The Pale Blue Eye. This is from director Scott Cooper and is coming to Netflix. A world-weary detective is hired to investigate the murder of a West Point cadet. Stymied by the cadet's code of silence, he enlists one of their own to help unravel the case, a young man the world would come to know as Edgar Allan Poe. So, Jacob, what did you think of this?
Well, first off, anything with Christian Bale, even if the movie's not great, like even earlier this year with Thor: Love and Thunder, Christian Bale's going to elevate this movie, even if the movie's not that good. The other thing that's intriguing is the guy that got cast as Edgar Allan Poe is, I think his name is Henry. Oh man, I forgot his name now, but it's the same
Henry
actor who
Henry
played what?
Melling.
Henry Melling. Thank you, and that's Dudley in the Harry Potter films, by the way.
Oh, really? Wow. Small world.
Yeah, he's been in quite a few Netflix movies. That's kind of like Netflix just keeps bringing that guy in, and every time he shows up, he's been giving some pretty good performances lately. So I'm intrigued. Edgar Allan Poe's an interesting figure. I'm kind of intrigued just on that alone, and plus Christian Bale. I think it being Netflix, it could be either hit and miss, but with the talent involved, I'm hoping it's decent at least. So I'm going 3.5.
I'm going for. I love this trailer for how brief it is. Christian Bale, Henry Melling. I'm a big fan of Scott Cooper, so this has me written all over it. Well, next up is A Man Called Otto, a grumpy widower whose only joy comes from criticizing and judging his exasperated neighbors, meets his match when a lively young family moves in next door, leading to an unexpected friendship that will turn his world upside down. This is from director Mark Forster, who directed such movies as Finding Neverland and Quantum of Solace, which is a movie that everybody seemed to hate except for me. But this is actually a remake of a movie called A Man Called called Juve or Ove, which was, I believe, Norwegian, if my memory serves me right. So this is a remake. But I saw this trailer attached to Glass Onion, and I thought it looked pretty solid. What did you think?
Yeah, I saw the exact same trailer as well when I saw Glass Onion, and I am really excited to see this. One because it's Tom Hanks; he's my favorite actor. Uh, Even in bad movies, he tends to have stellar performances. I'm really excited to see him play a Grump. That's a rare for him. I'm excited to see the story. I think it's really good. And I didn't realize Mark Forster was directing this until you brought it up. When I especially enjoy his drama films like Finding Neverland, and he directed one of the better live action Disney adaptations with Christopher Robin. I love that movie, and I'm hoping this one is good too. And also, it looks like they're bringing in comedic elements in the film, which when's the last time Tom Hanks has done a full blown comedy? He hasn't done one of those in so long. And Tom Hanks can be really funny when they need him to. So there's a lot of stuff to be excited about in this movie, and I'm gonna go 4.
Yeah, I'll go 4.5. I thought this movie looked like a lot of fun. I definitely plan on taking my mom to see this. I love the line in the trailer where he's yelling at the UPS truck and he's like, the white trucks don't do what the brown trucks do, and I don't mean that racially.
That cracked me up so hard.
That's a good line there. Well, next up is They Cloned Tyrone. This is coming to Netflix. A series of eerie events thrusts an unlikely trio onto the trail of a nefarious government conspiracy in this pulpy mystery caper. This movie stars Jamie Foxx, Kiefer Sutherland, John Boyega, and David Allen Greer. What did you think of this one?
It looked okay. I mean, I'm sold, especially on the cast, like John Boyega. I'm always rooting for John Boyega, especially post Star Wars. And Jamie Foxx tends to be fun to watch. I'm not sure on the commentary based on the trailer. It looks like it could be hit or miss, but it looks like a fun, quirky sci-fi adventure with good talent involved. So I'm going 3.
Yeah, I'll meet you there too. I love Jamie Foxx. I love Kiefer Sutherland, so 3 for me. Next up is Alice Darling, and we did not get a trailer for this one, so I'm just going to have to read the synopsis. A young woman trapped in an abusive relationship becomes the unwitting participant in an intervention staged by her two closest friends. This stars Anna Kendrick, and this, just from this premise alone, I don't really know what to think, but I do really like Anna Kendrick. So, what do you think?
Yeah, I would give this a higher score if I had seen the trailer, but the premise is intriguing and I like Anna Kendrick, so I think I'm just gonna go 3 just because I like the actress.
Yeah, I'll meet you there on that one, 3. It sounds pretty interesting. And then to wrap things up is Guillermo del Toro's Pinocchio. This is coming to Netflix. A father's wish magically brings a wooden boy to life in Italy, giving him a chance to care for the child. Just from this trailer alone, this is automatically better than the Pinocchio movie we got from Robert Zemeckis. Like, just way out of the water, like, no contest. Plus, it's gotten rave reviews coming from people who have seen it. It's got Ewan McGregor, Ron Perlman, because I'm pretty sure there's a cosmic law somewhere that Ron Perlman has to be in every Guillermo del Toro movie in some fashion. Finn Wolfhard is in this. Kate Blanchett is in this. I have a feeling you're giving this one a big old 5, Jacob.
This is my other 5
There
of
you go.
December. I love this trailer. Guillermo del Toro is an incredible director, and seeing him do stop motion and the fact that he's really passionate about this project and animation as a whole, I think this is going to be something special. There's even a chance it could rival Disney's animated Pinocchio from 1940 if it's that excellent. I am so excited to see this movie, and like I said, 5 stars.
Yeah, I love this trailer, and it's fun to see when directors are passionate about a certain thing, and you can just tell that Guillermo del Toro was having the time of his life making this. So yeah, Netflix might have a potential gem on their hand. Well, from all of that list, what are you all most excited to see? Leave your thoughts in the comments section. We'd love to hear what you have to say. And wow, Jacob, that's 2022 for movies. And that's we've made it all the way to December. It's crazy to think about, but it's difficult to say because we haven't seen any of these yet. But do you think there are any that could potentially upset your top 10 of the year?
Um, I'm hoping Pinocchio makes my top 10. That's definitely one I'm really hoping could make it. Puss in Boots might. We'll just have to see on that one. And if Avatar 2 has a great story, it could be a dark horse.
Yeah, it's strange. DreamWorks is having an unusually great year with the Bad Guys and now Puss in Boots. Like they're top tier, while Disney's been kind of struggling in the animation department.
Yeah, it's weird. I think I had Turning Red in my top 10 earlier in the year, but then recent movies like Glass Onion knocked it out of the top 10. So now it's kind of like in the middle of my ranking. But yeah, between that, Strange World Bombing, which I still haven't seen, Lightyear bombed, and I thought it was a fine movie. Wasn't great or anything, but I enjoyed it enough. But yeah, they haven't had the best year compared to in the past. It's crazy. DreamWorks is having the comeback.
Yeah, I mean, props to them for being able to do that, and it's going to be it's going to be great to bring on 2023. That's all I say. Looking forward to doing the January preview, and it's nearly down the road. But what do you, like I said, leave your thoughts in the comments of what movies you're excited to watch in the month of December. And before we do wrap things up, I do want to announce that we are nearing the 50th episode of this podcast. I cannot believe it, but it is coming down the pike. And I've discussed this with Jacob, and it's looking like that we both want to make that into a Q&A episode. So we will be posting it on our social medias. If you would like to ask us a question, please interact with our social media posts. We want to make the 50th a big old just Q&A episode. I think that that would be a lot of fun. Jacob, I certainly hope that you think so.
Yeah, definitely. I can't wait for that.
Yeah, so we'll send out something a little bit in advance of it. I believe this is going to be episode 46 or 47. I would have to double check that, but it's closer than you think. It's looking like if we keep on the schedule that we're keeping, it's looking like the 50th is going to be the last week of December. So last week
Yeah,
was 45, this is
yeah. This is
46.
46. I'm double checking as we speak.
So that Q&A should be dropping the last Wednesday of the year, so Wednesday the 28th. So we'll, like I said, it'll be sent out a little bit closer to that, but the 50th will be our Q&A episode, and I hope that that is our biggest and best episode yet. But
Yeah, that'd
thank
be
you
a good
all.
little end of year treat.
Absolutely. Well, thank you all so much for watching. As always, Jacob, it's a privilege to do this with you every week. Where can the people find you?
Well, they can find me on Letterboxd, Twitter, Facebook, and of course, you can subscribe to my channel where I do movie reviews, TV reviews, ranking videos, all that fun stuff. Coming on my channel this week, it's all Christmas stuff from now till Christmas Day. At the time we were recording this video, I just dropped my video where I reviewed the Kung Fu Panda holiday special. Other past videos I've done, I've reviewed The Year Without a Santa Claus, along with I did a watch party with Ryan Cam, my sister, and then Jacob Collins on Home Alone. And I also did a review already of the How to Train Your Dragon holiday special. And I got some other exciting stuff coming this week as well. I've done a live collab with Rashad G Reviews on Gremlins. I got a celebrating Disney Christmas review where I'll be covering Mickey's Twice Upon a Christmas. And I also have a live collab coming later this week with my friend Ryan from the channel RWR Reviews. We'll be covering the Netflix film Jingle Jangle: A Christmas Journey. So some exciting Christmas content coming your way if you want to check out my channel and watch some of the content over there.
Yes, both of his channels will be linked in the description. Go give him a subscribe on both of those. And as for this channel, thank you all so much for watching as usual. The Chris Mania will be in full swing starting this coming Thursday, the 1st, with my review for Remember the Night, and then 25 Christmas movie reviews in 25 days thereafter. And then I also plan on seeing Violent Night, and I will have a review up for that at the very least. But thank you all so much for watching. For Jacob Martin, my name is Ryan Cam. We will see you in the next one. Take care.